Me and Parker are both in our Sunday red for episode 32 of the Loose and Groovy Baseball Show. Today is one I'm super excited about. We're doing our 2025 MLB trade deadline draft, so a little bit different than when we did the free agent pick'em. This one's going to be a draft, so once a player's taken off the board, he is done. Parker, I know it's been a long time since we've been able to do an episode. We've both been super busy just with summer, jobs, going home, seeing people, all that good stuff. So how have you been?
I've been good. I feel like I've been go 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 all summer. And I feel like every time we sit down to like record something, it's either like bad service or one of us just kind of last minute cannot do it because of some plans. So
Yeah.
good that we're actually able to finally get back in here and start talking ball again.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously trade deadline I think is a little over a week away as we're recording this. And so once we do our picks, we'll get that graphic out and kind of keep up with what happens. And it should be fun to see. So just going over how the draft's going to work and then the points. Parker's going to get the first pick because I won the free agency pick when we did that in the offseason. So I did give him the first pick for that. And then for the points, we're going to do plus 5 points if a player is traded. So if you just say a player gets traded, doesn't matter what team he goes to. If he does get traded, you get 5 points. You're going to get 15 total points if you guess the correct player and what team he goes to. So I'd just be, complete 100% and you get the trade right.
Mhm.
We're also going to do plus 5 points if a player is traded to a team from a team with a winning record. So I guess a good example would be the Cardinals or the Rays, two teams with winning records right now. If you say a player from that team is going to get traded, and they do, that's pretty much, I guess you could say, a 5 bonus points in a way. And then the other bonus points we have is plus 2 points for All-Stars. So if the player we say gets traded was an All-Star at any point during their career, then we're also going to get plus 2 bonus points. So I guess the most points I think you could get for one guess is 22. That'd be if you get the entire trade correct, if the player was from a team with a winning record, and if he was an All-Star. So should be interesting. I think we're ready to get into it if you want to give us your first pick.
Okay,
I'm sorry. One more rule. I'm a White Sox fan. He's a Tigers fan. We're only doing one trade for each team. So like I can only do one trade involving the White Sox. He can only do one trade involving the Tigers, just so we didn't like overload that because I feel like that's probably what we're gonna know the most about. Okay, that's it.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is leave a big guy on the board that you probably want. Just because like there's no like true 1-1 pick because we have obviously no idea what's gonna happen. And for the most part, we know what guys are gonna be traded. So I'm gonna go still with kind of a fun pick. There is a few veteran arms that are kind of looking for that like resurgence. And I think Zach Gallen definitely falls into that category. So first of all, Zach Gallen is only, let's see, how old do you think Zach Gallen is?
Mm, 29.
29. Yep, he turns 30 in like 15 days.
Okay.
And he has been horrible this year. He has a 5.4 ERA with a 1.37 whip. Um, Other than that, like his last three seasons, he sat around like a 3.2 across those three seasons. He pitches between 150 and 200 innings every single year. And just this year is just not clicking. He had an injury last year that took him out until like was it the start of the season that he came back? Do you know?
Uh, yeah. I mean, I don't remember that injury too well, but I want to say he was pitching the full season, if that's what you're asking.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm putting him on the Cubs because the Cubs have starting pitching problems and their offense is absolutely amazing, but on starting pitching, like that's going to be their main focus this year. They have right now they just have Shota, Matt Boyd, Cade Horton, and Callan Ray. And then they have Javier Assad, Justin Steele, and Jameson Taillon all on the injured reserve. Assad had a strained oblique, so he shouldn't be too much longer, but Justin Steele is out for the year um, for Tommy John, which is probably the worst news that Cubs fans could have heard, especially when they're like right in the middle of contending for the title.
Hmm.
So I think just getting Zach Gallen would be like a massive spark. And I know that he hasn't been good this year, but you look at the pedigree of a guy like this with a 3.55 career ERA. and like it's got to get you excited, and like it's still there because he's only 29 years old. It's not like this it's this 32-year-old that's all of a sudden um like completely regressing. So
Yeah.
yeah, Zach Gallen 1-1 pick to the Cubs.
So I did have him going to the Cubs. Zach Gallen's I think he's gonna get traded. Would you say out of all the Diamondbacks players, he's one of the more likely guys to go?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if not the most likely.
Yeah, I would say it's probably him or Suarez, I
Yeah.
would think are the top two. Okay, so that kind of makes it tricky for me. I kind of thought you were gonna say Suarez, which
Did you want to do that one 1-1?
I think originally when we started doing this, I would have said yes, but now I'm kind of leaning more towards a pretty confident bet that I'm going to lead off with 5 points. Like I'd rather go for those picks where like I know pretty sure that I'm going to get at least five. And I do think Gino's going to get traded, but that's a little more murkier for me than this one is to where if it's my first pick, I want to make sure I get this guy before you
Mhm.
might take him. And it's actually me, my White Sox one. So I'm going to say Adrian Hauser for my first pick. And the reason I'm so confident about this is that Hauser was signed to be traded pretty much. He was signed late in May by the White Sox. And I made a TikTok video about him, but he's been really good. I think last night against the Pirates was one of his worst starts. It was four and a third and like three earned innings or three earned runs. And he kind of got shelled. I think he let up 10 hits too. So that was his worst start. I think before that start, it was like seven of eight or eight of his nine starts. He had gone 6 innings or more, and probably I think two earned runs or less. He's been super dependable for the White Sox and probably one of the best arms in our rotation, ironically, this season. And that was a guy that, like I said, joined super late. I mean, the signing was meant to be, a pickup and then dump off kind of deal. And so I think this is kind of a slam dunk for a guy that's going to be traded. The White
Mhm.
Sox obviously are not contending. They have every reason to be selling right now, and Hauser obviously is like a rental piece. And I think it makes the most sense in the world that he will get moved. For the team, I have him going to Houston. Um, they're another team that has had a lot of injuries to that starting rotation. Aaron Getty, I believe, is still out. Javier still coming back from Tommy John. Ronel Blanco went down earlier in the year. Lance McCullers is still working his way back, and then obviously they have Hunter Brown and Framber Valdez at the top two. So they had another righty here. Um, could be a good. I don't think he might. I don't know if he'd be like the third starter for like a postseason series.
Yeah.
I think Javier actually might be back for the postseason, but I might be wrong on that. But he's pitched out of the bullpen before, so even if you do that, I don't think that's a bad option at all. And Houston also they traded for Kikuchi at last year's deadline, so I mean I feel a little bit more comfortable there too, knowing they've traded for starting pitching before. And I also think Hauser is going to be one of the more affordable options this year. And the Astros don't have one of the strongest farm systems, so I think they would be able to afford the price, and the White Sox would still be able to get a pretty good haul back for him. So Adrian Hauser is going to be my first pick.
I like it. Definitely making sure that you at least get those 5 points.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, he has not been an all-star, so you won't get the extra two.
He's one of my only guys on the list that I don't think is an all-star, weirdly enough.
Yeah, I also have only like one guy, but I really like that pick, but I just don't know when I'm gonna say it. You kind of scared me when you said you weren't gonna take Gino because you want to make sure guys are traded, but they said he was available. But I mean, the
Yeah,
Diamondbacks roster is so good that it's like,
I tried to be cautious with the Diamondbacks. I think it is very possible that they do a sell-off, but how big is that sell-off?
mm,
And I think there is still the potential that they don't. So I don't know. It's interesting.
yeah, that scares me. Well, for my 1-2 pick, I'm going Gino Suarez, and I'm saying he's going to the Yankees because
Okay.
the Yankees are going to be doing a lot, especially the fact that they just got overtaken in the division. And they have the Red Sox creeping up on them and the Rays kind of lurking behind. There's no way that the Yankees are going to sit back and do nothing. Um, and third base this season has been not good at all for them. Right now, their third baseman is Can you guess their third baseman? There's no chance, but
Well, is it? It's not Peraza, Oswald Peraza.
no. Well, I guess it switches out between these guys, but as of today on Fangraphs roster resource, who else do you think it is?
La, 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 la. Do I know his name, or is it just some random?
You've heard his name probably, but
I um, it's not. Wait, okay, it's not Cabrera, is it? Am I mixing those two up?
no.
No. Um, I don't think I know.
It's Jorbit
Mm.
Vivas.
hmm
That's their third baseman right
Yeah.
now. So Suarez would be a massive spark. And like right now, it's the Yankees are what 3 games back in the division as we sit on 720. So if Judge takes any step back, which like in my mind, he's having this historic season, banking on him to be where he has what he has been or better is like kind of outrageous, but that is Judge. Like he could do it, but like still, like if Judge has a 340 average with like a 1.15 OPS, that's taking a step back.
Mm.
And if he takes a step back at all, like I don't know how much the Yankees can afford it. So just having an extra guy in the lineup to pick up the slack when Judge um kind of just isn't his like insane Barry Bonds peak form, that'd be huge.
hmm
Yesterday, Suarez had 2 more home runs. He has 33 bombs with a 911 OPS and a 3.3 WAR. So his defense hasn't been bad either. He's leading in home runs and RBIs. He's not going to get the batting title because his batting average is 254. But it's just this trade seems a little too perfect if they do end up dealing Suarez. And you know the Yankees are going to make a splash. So I feel pretty good about this one.
Yeah.
If he's traded, I really hope you're scaring me now. I thought that it was a guarantee, but
Well, I mean, I don't think I know everything, but I think Suarez to the Yankees probably makes the most sense out of all the teams available. And like you said, Yankees are probably the most desperate team for a third baseman right now. And honestly, like it's kind of to the point where like Suarez is having more of an underrated season. Like I don't know, I feel like I gloss over 30 plus home runs by the All-Star break pretty easily right now for some reason. But the fact I think you said he what 33 already,
33 home runs.
which leads the NL.
Yes.
Yeah, so that being available at the deadline, it might be a bigger haul than I think a lot of people are expecting, to be honest. It is just for a rental, right? Just the remainder of the
Just
year.
1 more year. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I even think there's a world he just stays in New York after this season if all goes well there if he does get moved.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so I actually I think where I'm going to go next, this player is actually going to be going to the Yankees. Um, Kind of a sneaky former All-Star, I think just a one-timer. But coming from a team that I'm, again, very confident is going to be selling. I'm sure you'll notice that that's kind of my trend here. I have David Bednar from Pittsburgh going to the Yankees. Um, Yankees have kind of been still figuring out their bullpen. They have a couple good pieces, but have had
Mhm.
injuries kind of the whole year and also some struggles too. And Bednar started the season super poorly, blown a lot of saves, got sent down to AAA, but since coming back has actually been super dependable and kind of back to that all-star version of Bednar. And if I remember correctly, I'm going to fact check myself here. I believe he has 2 years left of control on his contract. So it would give the Yankees a little bit of flexibility there too, to if they want to keep him for one more year. Yeah, so he's going to be a free agent after 2026. He's 30 years old. Um, yeah, I think this makes a lot of sense for them. Everybody always needs bullpen arms, and the Yankees know that the most after, being in the postseason so much. And I think Bednar is a good option for them where it could be a little bit expensive for them for 2 years of a pretty good reliever. And you could even make the argument for Gino that I'm thinking about it. Could they even, make a good enough offer to grab him? But I think Bednar is well within reach for them. Probably won't have to give up any of their big two with Spencer Jones, and I'm blinking on the other guy's name. But I think it just is makes a lot of sense. And this is another pick where I'm less concerned about the team and more concerned about who this guy's on, Bednar, and I'm
Mhm.
pretty confident he's going to be shipped off here, and he was an all-star, so might get some bonus points there too.
Hmm. Okay. That was probably my next pick. I had him going to the Tigers. Well,
Okay.
there goes the Tigers. We'll find something to fill in. I'm not gonna let that go.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, so my next pick, I like this a lot, and I'm pretty confident he's gonna be traded. I got Sandy Alcantara, so another guy looking for a resurgence, like I was saying. He was the other guy I was talking about. I have him going to the Giants.
Wow.
So right now, the Giants, their starting rotation looks like Logan Webb, Robbie Ray, who have been amazing, and then Landon Roop and Justin Verlander. Verlander has gotten unlucky this year, but he still like has not been good. He has a 4.99 ERA with I think he's 0-8. He hasn't won a game, which is kind of sad because he's chasing that 200 win mark. So
Mm-hmm.
it hasn't even made any steps towards that big milestone that he'll probably be the last pitcher if he does get it to ever get that 200 wins. And yeah, I'm looking and I don't see any injuries. Like Jordan Hicks has started games, but we kind of know how that goes.
Well, and I think uh you have him going to New York.
No, the Giants.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. Okay, the Giants. Hicks is in Boston now. He was in the Devers trade.
Okay, that's right. Because I'm looking, I'm like, where is he at?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Hicks is gone. Birdsong pitches starts some games and he's not bad, but I think he's more of that like long reliever type guy.
Mm-hmm.
And like, how much are you gonna trust Hayden Birdsong in the playoffs? Like, you obviously he's young. You can't really
Yeah.
place much leverage on him. And I guess Sandy, like, he's been so bad this year. Like, it's hard to like justify him even like being an asset to any team. But like, this is kind of like Zach Gallen. You know that that pitching is in there. And literally in 2022, he had an 8 WAR, which led the league in complete game shutout, innings pitched. And then everything else was like right there to be the best. 2.28 ERA with a 14-9 record. 2.99 FIP with a .98 WHIP. All-Star Cy Young, top 10 MVP voting. Like he was the guy for a couple years there. And then he had that major injury that took him out all of last year. And he just has not been the same at all. He has a negative 1.7 WAR with a 7.14 ERA, which is doesn't even make sense to me.
Yeah.
I literally had people at the beginning of the season kind of picking him to be like a Cy Young contender. It's kind of like the same boat as DeGrom, like you don't know what like path they're gonna take,
Mm-hmm.
and they take in the complete opposite paths. Obviously, DeGrom's been amazing. Um, and yeah, the Giants just need it. The Giants, in my eyes, are somewhat of a pitching factory. They did it with Robbie Ray. Like he used to be a Cy Young, and then he regressed a lot, especially when he went to the Mariners. And then they brought him back, and now he's back looking like that Cy Young contender. So they might see something in Sandy Alcantara that they can kind of tweak and make him return back to his old form. So Sandy Alcantara, my third pick.
Yeah, so I mean, I think Gallon and Sandy are two really risky picks here because you're picking guys that have been like pretty bad this year, and banking on the fact that they'll get traded. So I really don't think Sandy's going to get moved. I don't think it makes any sense for him to get moved either.
Why? Why would that not make sense?
Well, so I think if the okay, so I think there's two things. If the Marlins were in a lot worse of a spot than they are right now, they're 46 and 51 as we're recording right now. So they're only 6 games back or 5 games back of
Yeah.
being a 500 team. And Sandy's under control until 2027 or after 2027 if they want to. He has a club option that year. And so I think the Marlins window is starting to open a little bit earlier than they probably expected, where you're seeing a lot of your youth movement and a lot of talent, especially at the pitching spot too, where you have Yuri Perez and Edward Cabrera starting to really shine and be healthy, which is huge. Obviously, Cal Stowers should be talked about. He's been amazing. Xavier Edwards, Otter Lopez, Agustin Ramirez. Like there's a lot of fun pieces here, and I think sooner rather than later, the Marlins could actually be in a pretty decent spot to be a contender, like a postseason contender. And so, in my eyes, why trade your potential starting pitcher ace at probably one of the lowest values you're going to get for him if he could still contribute in the next 2 or 3 seasons and kind of be there for your team? I think it's like it'd be horrible timing to trade him right now, and I don't see a point in doing it when you're not going to get what you should be getting out of this guy. It does feel a little bit like a Luis Robert Jr., except I have more faith in Sandy returning to form than I do Luis Robert Jr. But I think the timing doesn't make any sense. And again, like with the direction the Marlins are going, I think it makes just more sense to hold on to him. And I think that's what they're going to end up doing. So I don't
So
know.
you said 2027 is when he becomes a free agent?
So they have a club option in 27. So if they take that, he'll be a free agent in 2028. So
Okay.
it'd be two more seasons after this one.
Okay. It's kind of hard for me to imagine that they would take it, but I mean, obviously he could get a lot better next year and in 2027. So I mean, it's hard to really say that, but
I mean, it's $21 million. I don't see why they wouldn't, I guess, like unless they just are tight on money or just
yeah,
don't feel a need to have him there. If they didn't trade him, I feel like they would just take it, right?
I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of caught up on the fact that like yes, they're 5 games under, but they just went on like their hottest streak and like I feel like if they're being realistic, they know that their window is not open like even next year. Just because they went on this hot streak, they're 24th in ERA at a 4.55 and they're 18th in OPS. So even that record is kind of overperforming according to
I wouldn't say that. I don't think you can say a record's overperforming when we're 100 games into the season. I think
maybe not, but either way, they're not like close to a 500 team in my eyes. Like
I
well,
think I
I
think you'll
mean,
be surprised next year at how good they could be.
I hope so. I hope they're contending because
And
that division would be even more fun
And
with
worst case scenario, let's say they don't move him this year, just move him next year, right? Like, I mean, you have another year to kind
True.
of play around
It's
with this.
almost, I guess, yeah, it almost would make more sense to wait just to bring his value up because, I mean, his value is pretty much nothing right now.
Exactly. So
But we'll see.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Okay, so I think for my third pick, I'm gonna go to Baltimore. There's a couple guys obviously you could eye up with Baltimore, especially out of the bullpen. They have a lot of fun pieces there that I think could get moved. But I'm gonna go with I think is what the most obvious one is, and that's Ryan O'Hearn. All-Star DH this year was the starter for the American League. Can play in the outfield, can DH, can play first base. And I feel like the best fit with all that in mind is Boston. Boston is a super interesting team where you could probably still hear arguments about them being a seller, but could definitely hear arguments now about them being a buyer with the stretch that they've been on and kind of their newfound position in the AL East and in the wild card race. And yeah, I think O'Hearn makes all the sense in the world. Obviously, Tristan Casas go down for the whole year. So now you have, I think it's Abraham Toro playing first base right now, which he's actually been okay. But O'Hearn gives them a lot of flexibility here. Boston does have like kind of an interesting spot between their outfield and their infield. I know they're still trying to kind of figure all that out. But I think O'Hearn being a platoon bat, you can kind of mix and match him with Toro or in your outfield, depending on what the matchup is, and you can really use him as a pretty solid piece. And I don't think he should cost too much. Obviously, he's been solid this year, but it is just a rental, so only getting him for half the year. And I think he could be a really nice piece to this team where they can kind of use him when they want him to, and it won't be, and kind of like what Baltimore's doing right now, where it's favorable matchups, being able to put him in spots where he's going to succeed. And I think Boston is a super easy place to see where that would continue. So yeah, I don't have much else to say on that. He's also an all-star this year, so you get the bonus points for that too. So
Hmm.
third pick, Ryan O'Hearn to Boston.
I like it. I had him like in my mind, obviously, because he's one of the most sure tradable pieces. And I couldn't find a team to really put him on because it's just hard to find a spot for a first base DH kind of like combo.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I guess filling in for Abraham Turo would be a definite upgrade.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I like it. My next pick, I want to go. Okay,
I
I'm gonna go to the Twins. maybe I'm being risky with saying these teams are all going to sell, but like
I, I'll let you go.
I think it's definitely fair to say the Twins are selling
Yeah,
this year.
yeah.
They sold last like every offseason they sell even after they either make the playoffs or are right in contention. So I'm saying Willie Castro, who has been
Mm.
very, very good this year. He was an all-star last year, so a couple extra points there, but he has a 793 OPS and a 117 OPS plus. Can play many positions, and I'm putting him on the Mets because right now, the Mets. Let me see if this will load. So the Mets' third base situation is Ronnie Mauricio, who has not been good this year. He has a .4 WAR with below average hitting, and then Brett Beatty, which that experiment has went on for so long, and I feel like um, Mets fans are just getting tired of it. So what I'm saying is, if you have Willie Castro, who can play second, third, he can play literally any position on the diamond, having that like super utility guy that they do not have right now would be massive. And I guess while he could fill right in for Mauricio at third or Brett Beatty right away. Otherwise, if they don't want to do that, they can just as soon as one of those guys cools off or somebody gets injured, he can slot in anywhere and just add a lot of depth to the team. So, Willie Castro to the Mets.
I like that fit a lot. Not a guy I really thought about, to be honest with you. So I was looking at infielders for the Mets because I kind of have the same line of thinking that you did. However, to me, it doesn't seem like it wouldn't make sense for the Mets to add another guy to this infield when you're already trying to figure out what you have in Vientos and what you have in Beatty. I'm going to disagree with you a little bit on Beatty. Beatty's actually been pretty solid this year, and he's been starting to improve more and more. Um, just looking at his numbers, I mean, 102 WRC plus 715 OPS, pretty much a league average hitter. But compared to what he was last year, that's a well better improvement. And so I think just kind of like throwing in the towel with him would not be the right move and adding another piece to this infield. I'd rather let them run it out with these guys and keep letting them play because I think they are starting to show their
See,
talent. And
when the division race is within a game, I don't think there's such thing as letting it ride out.
well, yeah, but like realistically, how much more value is Willie Castro going to add than a Brett Beatty and a Mark Vientos?
Well, no, dude, I think they're in win now mode, and I think when the division race is within a game, I don't think Steve Cohen really cares about like riding it out for Brett Beatty to be the hitter that they thought he was going to be. I really don't.
Yeah, I guess. I think you can make the argument that Willie Castro isn't much of an improvement here, and then after this year, you just add more confusion. I guess you might just, is he a rental?
I think Willie Castro's a huge improvement. He's got good defense. And let me tell you his numbers from last year too, because he was an all-star last year. I feel like he's just been very consistent. Okay, so going back to 2023, 2.6 WAR, 750 OPS with a 105 OPS plus. Last year, 717 OPS, 12 home runs, 60 RBIs. He might have been the Minnesota's like kind of
Yeah,
shoe-in
I was just gonna
star.
ask
And
because
then this year he's improved even more. So he's just steadily turned into this consistent hitter, whereas before when he's on the Tigers, he was not. I think that like getting a veteran guy like that that can play every position, I think the Mets would could really use that. I don't know. I guess we'll have to see because like even let me look up Jeff McNeil's stats. Has Jeff McNeil been good?
yeah, but he's playing like in the outfield, so I
Which
don't
Willie
really.
Castro can.
Yes, I did know that too, which is yeah, that probably helps your argument more too.
But yeah, Jeff McNeil has been actually really good. Wow.
Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from, but I to me it created more problems than solutions for the Mets. And I do hear you about like contending and
Mhm.
like going all in, but to me Willie Castro isn't going all in. So I guess that's kind of where we're gonna disagree.
Probably not.
Okay, so I'll go on. I mean, do you have anything else on him? I can go on to my next pick. All right, so I'm gonna go pitcher here, and I'm gonna go back to a team that I think is definitely gonna be offloading a bunch of pieces. I have Mitch Keller going to San Diego, also a former All-Star, and yeah, going to the Padres, who kind of has been a team that has also been struggling again with starting pitching. team ranks aren't too bad. They're about middle of the road. Right now, they're running out Yu Darvish, who is just coming off of injury. Still kind of trying to ramp up and find his footing. And then obviously Pivetta, who's been a very pleasant surprise. Randy Vasquez and Dylan Cease. So not like really great options here. And then obviously you have Michael King, who's on EIL. Musgrove too. King, I've been hearing some bad reports about like his return and like the timetable. It doesn't sound super encouraging. So I think there's still kind of a question mark about his availability for the postseason kind of late into this year. So then like thinking about the postseason or this late push, to right now you really only feel confident with like a Nick Pivetta going out there. I think you could say yeah, Dylan Cease, but I mean a 4.64 ERA and 108 innings is not something to get super excited about. And the nice thing with Mitch Keller is they can keep him for a couple of years. So he's got 3 more years of team control after this season, and then he'll be a free agent. And it's not going to be super expensive. And I know the Padres can definitely afford this. The one thing I think you could say is that the Padres are very tied down with a lot of players right now, money wise. And, they might not be able to swing a Mitch Keller contract that kind of, it isn't a lot, but it is another big contract that they're going to have to hold on to, which could be something to think about. But I think they'd be able to make it work. And I think Mitch Keller is a great choice. All-star in 2023, a very consistent arm, and hasn't had the opportunity to pitch in the postseason yet, but threw 194 innings in 2023, 178 last year. He's got 119 this year. I don't have any concerns that he would falter in the postseason and could be a solid 3 or 4 starter, probably the third starter behind Pafetta and Cease, I would say. Maybe you give Darvish the spot because I think his postseason numbers have been very strong. Um, but yeah, obviously, like I said with the Pirates, I think this is a super easy sell-off for them. Could also make the argument, his value might exceed what the Padres can actually offer up. So I think there are a couple question marks here, but I think for the All-Star nod, what the Padres need, I think it is worth the shot. And also, like, I don't know if it's just because he's already in like a black or he's already in yellow, like his uniform, but Mitch Keller being a Padre just makes sense in my mind for some reason. Like I just can see him in a Padres uniform right now. I don't know why, and I just that could be completely like arbitrary, but I that's something else that's also kind of swaying me. So Mitch Keller to the Padres is my fourth pick.
What right now, what would you say the Pirates' identity is if they have one?
Um, I don't, do they have one? I don't think they do.
If it was anything, what would it be?
Um, Sell, I guess.
No, I mean like like what they would like hang their hat on that they can like if in a given day that they can look
Mm,
solid in
pitching.
pitching. Probably starting pitching more especially, most
Yes,
especially. So right now they have Paul Skeens, Bailey Falter, Heaney, which he's probably going to get dealt, but Mitch
right.
Keller, and then they have Jared Jones, who will be back next year. And they extended Mitch Keller, obviously. That's why he's a free agent in 2029. I don't see a world where they would ever trade him because they still have him for 2025, the rest of this year, obviously, 2026, 2027, and 2028. They just signed him to this extension, which looks really nice right now because he's super solid. Like, why would they not want to keep that identity of Paul Skeens, Mitch Keller, and like Jared Jones in these next 3 years?
Well, I mean, I don't just because you move off a piece doesn't mean you lose your identity as a pitching team, right? I mean,
That hurts them a lot though. Then it just looks like Paul Skeens hoping for Jones to come back healthy, and then like I know Bubba Chandler, like that's gonna
yeah.
add to their identity. They're gonna like that's gonna be perfect for them. So I think they're gonna want to like hold on to that.
I think you're hanging your hat on identity too much here for a team that doesn't even have had 40 wins yet this year. I don't think they really care too much about that. Like, I mean, yeah, like that's what they do, but why would you turn down an offer from a team for one of your better pitchers that you know is not gonna help you win probably anytime soon? Like, can you tell me confidently that in 2028 the Pirates are gonna be a contender in any regard?
2028.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Who
feel like it's almost impossible to say.
I mean, but like, okay, thinking like I think
I
the
would say
team,
like yeah, they definitely could be contenders for sure. That's 3 years ahead.
I think there's some teams you can make that argument where you see pieces either up now or coming up later. Who on the Pirates is going to be an all-star stud, like really good contributor in 2028 outside of O'Neal Cruz and Paul Skeens?
Brian Reynolds, I think he's really good, but
In 3 more years, though?
I mean, how old is he? 30? Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I mean, Spencer Horwitz is gonna be good, but I mean, saying he'll be an art, it's too hard to kind of have the outlook. But
I think right now the Pirates don't have much going for them. Just genuinely, I think their future is more bleak than they'd probably like to, or more bleak than I think they would want where they'd want to be right now. And I think if you just hold on to that identity of like, oh yeah, we're a pitching team, like this is what we do well, and just write out Mitch Keller's contract for 3 years for no reason, I don't think that really does you anything good. Now, I could see an argument where they just hang on to him for like another year or two and then sell him, especially, later on if and then yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe they are competing in 2028, and then you have Mitch Keller on your team. But I think right now you need more focus on actually like getting more guys here that can actually like, and it could kind of go back to the Paul Skeens argument of like, Skeens is only going to be here for a certain amount of time. What are we going to do with that? And I think Keller could be a cog in that, and like, actually getting guys to go around Skeens. So I don't know.
um,
I think it's interesting because you have a two different point of views on Sandy and Mitch Keller here, where I think they're kind of similar situations, and you're saying
yeah,
Sandy's gonna go and now Mitch is gonna stay. Um, I don't know.
I think it's more. Well, Sandy's been horrible, and if a team thinks they can
Yeah,
get
yeah.
better, that's a little. Um, and also I was kind of looking at the other side of this, and I can wrap this up soon because this I've been talking about this a lot, but like. With the Padres, they were trying. There was a point where they were trying to offload Cease and King.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want to pay them. There's big financial issues there, and like those issues have not gone away at all. So they're looking for more of like the whether it's pre-arb or just like the rookie, the first 6 years before you hit free agency.
Yeah.
I see it, and Mitch Keller, the majority of that money, that 77 mil, not the majority, but a lot of it is the last
Mm-hmm.
few years. I find it hard to believe that they would want more contract. Like I think they're gonna go for more like young controllable pieces that they don't have to pay much compared
Yeah.
to a guy like Mitch Keller who's gonna be taking in a lot more money than some of these other guys they could be trading for. But
Yeah. Absolutely. I,
because
I,
they got some huge contracts that they're paying for and they're struggling.
and that's on the offense and on the pitching staff. So you're right there.
Okay, so is this my fourth pick?
Five.
Fifth pick. Okay. I'm gonna go I'm gonna go Rosell Iglesias
Hmm.
to the Dodgers.
Is he an all-star?
He has been,
Okay. Oh
definitely.
wait. Okay. I was thinking for some reason I was thinking Jose Iglesias.
No, I don't know where he's on the Padres, right?
Yeah. 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 Okay.
So right now the Dodgers have the 24th best bullpen ERA at 4.37. And I feel like they use their bullpen more than any other team. I feel like I just constantly see like Emmett Sheehan or Shohei Ohtani, like the guys going like 3 innings and then the bullpen just kind of taking over after that. Dave Roberts, and that number is definitely inflated because he's not afraid to like punt a game and then just give up like 15 runs. Like he just does not care. Um, but anyways, Rosell Iglesias has been this year he's been horrible, and you guys might be seeing a trend that like a lot of these pitchers I'm picking, like they're not doing good now, but they've had it in the past. And this isn't a scenario where the Braves could just wait and wait for him to get better because he's a free agent after this year. Um, I think it's almost a guarantee that he's going to be gone. 5.12 ERA this year, 1.24 whip. So his whip has been like okay. His FIP is 4.36, like not atrocious. So his numbers are definitely worse than his underlying numbers. But nonetheless, he's still not doing good this year. But last year, 1.95 ERA in 70 innings. The previous year, 2.75. 2022, it was 2.47, 2.57, 2.74. Like he has been a sub 3 ERA since 2020. And then this year he's just kind of fallen off a cliff. But I think the Dodgers, like they did with Michael Kopech, they could take Iglesias and turn him right back into that all-star stud that he was before.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I think the Dodgers could really use him, especially with all these injuries they have.
So Rice Iglesias is not an all-star, actually.
No, he's never been an all-star.
Nope.
Cy
Pretty
Young 11.
surprising. Pretty
Yeah,
surprising.
it's crazy.
Um, I would have guessed he would have been too. So okay, so pick five for me. So you just remind I had a guy going to the Dodgers. It's super like iffy. It could happen, but you just reminded me of him. I'm not sure where else I would go here, so I might end up doing that. Yeah, so okay. Oh, I actually can't do this. I forgot the rule we made. It was gonna be Luis Robert Jr., but I cannot not do that. So I'll get rid of him. Good thing I remembered that. Okay, so then I think I'm gonna go. Mm, okay, this one's kind of a fun one. Not an all-star. A guy you brought up earlier, and we're gonna talk about the Pirates again here. Andrew Heaney is a guy
Dang.
that ever since he's been balling out this year, and it's been a little rough the past couple starts, but I mean, he was always circled for me as going to be a trade deadline piece. Whether how no matter how valuable that's going to be, I always thought, I mean, he's going to get dealt. I think no matter what. And ironically, I think he's going to go to a team that has a lot of question marks around it being a buyer or a seller, and it's a team he's been on before. I have him going back to Anaheim to play with the Angels here to wrap out the end of the season. I think it makes weirdly a lot of sense just because the Angels, like, we always talk about it where they should be sellers, but they're probably going to be buyers. And I think this is like a small enough buy to where they could easily make it happen. And I don't think a lot of the big name teams are going to be calling the Pirates phone for Andrew Heaney. And I think the Angels are kind of able to just sweep in there, maybe make a nice little small offer and bring some starting pitching help to them. Like, I mean, the Angels are at a point right now where they're going to be, whether we want to say it or not, they're going to be thinking that they can make the postseason. And they're still obviously a very good shot they can. Only 2 games below 500 right now. Easily could be a wild card team, I would say for sure. And so I think it's more realistic that they end up being kind of small buyers or just buyers of any sense than they are sellers. And I think Andrew Heaney kind of fits the bill here. Been on the team before, a good lefty. Uh, Not going to blow you away, but going to be serviceable and kind of just go in bulk, hopefully, for them. And so I think it just kind of makes sense. It's a weird trade, I know, but I think obviously the Pirates are going to be looking to move off of him, and I think the Angels might be kind of one of the only suitors that are really going to make a decent offer for him here, and I think the Pirates are going to say yes. So I have Andrew Heaney to the Angels.
Yeah, it's just I didn't think you were gonna touch the Angels.
Well, I'm not touching any. I'm not touching them selling. I'm definitely not
You
doing.
touching them buying, yeah, they're just impossible to gauge. And like most of the time, if they're 10 games below 500, they're still gonna be buyers just to
Exactly. Exactly.
which is it doesn't make any sense. But I guess that's kind of the trend that they've taken. Okay, I'm gonna go. See, I don't know if I want to go the route that I want to take or if I should just play it safe and not let you get this guy first. Okay. Give me 1 second. This is loading.
Okay.
So I'll actually get some extra points because this team is currently over 500.
Mm,
Okay, I'm doing Ryan Helsley
okay.
to the Phillies.
All right.
The Phillies have the 23rd bullpen ERA at 4.35. And last year, that was like their big, well, like they were amazing last year, but their bullpen was so good. And then we saw it kind of cave in the playoffs. But Ryan Helsley is absolutely amazing. This year he's kind of taken a step back, but in the years past he's been so good. And the Phillies just really need the bullpen help right now. Like I said, 23rd best bullpen ERA. Um, right now we're just in the bullpen. Their main guys are Matt Strahm, Jordan Romano, who has not been good since they picked him up, and then it's a lot of kind of middling guys. So I can't see a world where they don't get a trade piece. I think the biggest question is, do the Cardinals trade away Ryan Helsley? I am not sure. This is just more to kind of get the extra points if possible.
Yeah.
Um, He has been a lot better lately. 3.27 ERA. Last year was 2.04. The year before that, 2.45, and then a 1.25 in 2022. So he has been an all-star with those numbers. So yeah, this is just more of a points grab, but the Phillies are definitely going to get a trade piece in terms of the bullpen, but if it's going to be Ryan Helsley, I'm not sure. We'll see.
Yeah, I think out of all the guys you could have picked from the Cardinals, I think Helsley's one of the better options. Like we said, that's kind of a risky team right now with the winning record. So, him or Arenado, I think are kind of the big two that are really 50-50 for me.
Yeah.
So, I have a pick where I wanted to put one on my board where it was a guy in a winning record team. I'm not sure if I'm going to take him though, just because I don't really feel confident in it. But I'm gonna go with kind of like a not sexy pick here and go Gregory Soto, who's on the uh,
Dang, dude, I had him the next pick.
yeah, so he's on Baltimore right now, and I actually have him making a return to Detroit to help their
That's,
bullpen.
dude, this is crazy. That
Uh,
was my next pick, Gregory Soto, the Tigers.
yeah, so two-time All-Star with
Taking-
Detroit, in 21 and 2022, played 4 seasons there, bounced around for the past couple of years, going to be a free agent after the end of this season. Um, Again, he's having a pretty solid year this year. Not, I actually pretty close to his All-Star years, I guess you could say. 34 innings at 3.67 ERA. Makes all the sense in the world for Baltimore to move off him. They can get some nice return. And Detroit, they're never going to turn down any bullpen help. And having Gregory Soto at AJ Hinch's disposable will be super good for them. So was he your Tigers pick? Like that was kind of your one get?
My original one was David Bennett of the Tigers, and then
Okay.
my next one, I was just gonna, it was gonna be my next pick was Soto of the Tigers.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So
I'm just trying to get them a bullpen arm, but you're taking all the bullpen
yeah, I
arms.
guess so. So, yeah, I don't have much else to say on that. Obviously, the All-Star nod is a bonus here. And yeah, I think it's a nice little pick there. So, you got pick number 7 coming up.
Hmm. Okay, this is tough now. Okay, my nothing's loading besides my Google Doc, so I might
Okay.
have to just wing this. So I'm gonna say Zach Eflin to the Astros. You kind of explained all the Astros woes in terms of starting pitching, and they really need a starter. Zach Eflin, I believe, does he have one more year after this year of control?
I'll get you all the stuff you need
Yeah.
here.
Um, it's clear that the Orioles are going to be sellers. The only worry is that if they do have control after this year, they probably do see themselves as contenders right after this year, and they do need the starting pitching. However, like it's kind of freak out mode right now for them, so I can see them like trading off any pieces that um, even have a chance of adding value to their team in the future. And Zach Eflin has not been good this year. I think his ERA sits around the sixes. Is that right?
His ERA this year is 5.95. So yeah, you're pretty close.
Yeah. So he's been pretty bad. Yeah, Zach Eflin to the Astros. Do you think he's gonna get traded?
Dude, I don't know. I don't know why you keep picking guys with an ERA above like a 5. I
I mean,
I just think it's like
they're
super
moving off
risky to
him.
go that route. Like I get it, but I think you might be overestimating the want for guys that are doing this right now. Just a little bit. And the fact that you went 3 of them, I feel like I had to say
That's
something.
it. I'm taking that resurgence.
Okay.
I'm
I
more optimistic. I
we'll,
guess the teams that are trading them are not.
yeah, we'll see how that turns out for you. I don't know many teams that are going to be calling for a Zach Eflin with a 5.95 ERA and 62
Probably
wins.
not.
But, hey, there's only a couple blow up starts there. He had some good ones. We'll see.
Mhm.
I could see an argument for Charlie Morton. You might as well add him to your list right now, or Dean Kremer.
I was thinking about Charlie. I'm not even
Of
kidding.
course you were. Of course you
But
were.
he's not a 1 year deal, and they're probably just going to trade him for like nothing. So
Yeah. Okay. So, hmm, I could go blockbuster here. I could. Hmm. I don't really think I'm not worried. That might be a pick I do later because I don't think you're gonna have that one. Um. So okay, I'm gonna go with this one because I feel like we always pin the Phillies to an outfielder, or at least we have a lot recently. And like a lot of the time it's been Luis Robert Jr. Or any outfielder. It just seems like it always makes sense to put Philadelphia with an outfielder. And I'm hoping and I wish and I think that this will be the deadline or this will be the time that they do it. I have them grabbing Cedric Mullins from Baltimore, so another Baltimore trade on my list. Cedric has been not the, I mean, I don't think he's ever really been the same since that breakout campaign in 21, which when he was an all-star. Fantastic year, but has not replicated it at all. But I think Cedric still provides a lot of value overall. He is actually a negative WAR player this year, negative point 0.3. But the past two seasons, 2.8, 2.6, a very, very average bat with a little bit of pop. He hit 30 home runs in 2021, hasn't hit 20 since then. But I believe he's going to be a rental here and could just be due for a change of scenery. I think he's a guy where you know that's in him, and you still see flashes of that all over. And, like we said, a lot of the conversation with the Phillies has been getting help for that outfield and how it'd be such a good fit to get, outfield help for them. Right now, it's a mix of, so it's Castellanos is out and right. You have Kepler out and left, who's a platoon. I assume with Otto Kemp right now, I think. And then you have Brandon Marsh and Johan Rojas in center. So it's a little dicey. Could there be room for him in the outfield for the Phillies? I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head if he's played a corner before. I imagine he has. I guess I can look really quick and see, at least this season, if he has. Um, okay, so he's actually DH 2 games, and then otherwise it's all been in center field. He has played in the corner before, but the past couple years it's been mostly in center field. Um,
I think when a player plays only center, I think it's easy to just kind of say like obviously they can play left field or right field. I think more of the worry is when they you need to move them to center.
okay, so yeah, I guess. I think you're right. Yeah, yeah. I think that's a good point. But Brandon Marsh has not been good with the bat this year, and not that Cedric has been much better. And neither Johan Rojas, obviously a very glove first center fielder as well. So I'm not sure what the situation would look like after this in terms of how they're going to rearrange things, who's going to go where, and how you're going to kind of work Cedric in. But I think it would be a good addition here where you realistically could get your starting center fielder for the postseason if you make a Cedric trade. And again, I think a good candidate for a change of scenery where kind of been hovering around a league average player overall, I would say the past couple of years, and could just need a new uniform, a new ballpark, just something new to kind of find that spark again. And I think Philly could be a good suitor for that. So that would be my seventh pick.
Yeah, it's just kind of tough for me. I had Cedric to the it actually was the Phillies again, believe it or not. I'm not lying when I say all this. That was gonna be my 1-1 pick, and then I like as soon as we hopped on the podcast and I started looking at stats and I looked at the Phillies outfield, I just couldn't find really a spot for him, even though they are always linked to an outfielder. I just like with Brandon Marsh, Kepler out there, and then was it Castellanos? Like
Yeah, yeah,
and like in my mind, I'm like, oh, just move Castellanos to DH, but you can't do that because like Schwarber's there too. So like the DH spot, that's kind of what not sucks because he hits 45 home runs a year, but that it kind of complicates things when Schwarber is just your always like he's
yeah,
always gonna DH. It's not him. Like Nick Castellanos is right in line to not need to. You just don't want him in the outfield, so
right.
it complicates things a lot, and there's not much flexibility when that happens, but. Schwarber's been amazing, so nobody's complaining on their end.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So I've been taking more of the fun kind of like upside, just like flashy picks. I'm gonna go more for the guaranteed points, and I'm gonna say Dennis Santana to the Blue Jays.
Mm,
Dennis Santana's been amazing for the Pirates this year. He has a 1.56 ERA in 40 innings, 0.818 WHIP this year. He's just been absolutely amazing. He's got very good control. He only has 1.6 walks per nine, which is crazy low. He's already accumulated a 2 WAR as a reliever. And I just don't see a world where he doesn't get dealt. Him and Bednar, I think, are both gone. And the Blue Jays, their bullpen's been a lot better this year than it was last year, which doesn't really say much because it was horrible last year. But there's definitely a lot of room for improvement. The bullpen ERA is not loading right now, but I'm guessing they're kind of in the middle of the pack.
Uh,
And I don't think the Blue Jays are going to go for it. I kind of am starting to wish I put more guys on the Blue Jays. I guess I still could. I still
yeah.
got a few more picks, but yeah, Dennis Santana to the Blue Jays.
Real quick, bullpen ERA, they are seventh in ERA.
Okay, wow. Well, I still think he's going to go to the Blue Jays.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm not. I was just saying.
That's been a very pleasant surprise then for Blue Jay fans because they were horrible last year.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think they've had a couple nice surprises there. Hoffman, I know his ERA is not great, but he's got 23 saves, which is hard to argue against. Yariel Rodriguez, Brandon Fisher, Brendan Little, they've had some really good pieces in there. Okay, so we still haven't addressed the Tigers' third base need yet, and I think that's what I'm gonna do here. And I think it's gonna be there's no way they don't go after a third baseman here, I think. But at the same time, I also don't think they spend big for a third baseman. I don't see that being a thing. So the happy median here, and I don't know how much you're gonna like this, but Key Brian Hayes I have going to Detroit. Another Pittsburgh guy, which I have a lot of guys I'm realizing now coming from Pittsburgh. But obviously a glove first third baseman, one of the best defensive third basemen in the league. Has shown flashes with the bat, and by flashes I mean being like a slightly above average hitter at third. But to me, this is a guy, and we've talked about this. The Tigers are a team full of very talented role players, and I think Ke'Bryan Hayes can fit that mold very well. Where um, he's not gonna, knock you or knock your socks off with the charge. I don't know why I always say that. He's not gonna blow you away with his numbers, especially offensively. But I think playing the very good glove at third is important. And I think he can be just a very solid piece in that lineup and give them a little bit more consistency where you have a pretty solid player going out there and playing third base for you every day if that's what they decide to do. Obviously, from the Pirates' perspective, I'm not sure how much control he has left here. He might be a guy with a couple more years again. Um, but it's kind of the same story with the Pirates. I won't talk much more about them just because we know what they're. Okay, so he did sign an 8-year, $70 million contract. So I think the Tigers could pick that up.
Hmm.
He's got one, two, three, 4 more years and then a club option in 2030. So this would be a pretty long-term investment, I guess you could say, for the Tigers. Um, Off the top of my head, I don't I don't think McGonagall plays third, and I think their other two couple big prospects are catching prospects. So unless you want to say Jace Young too, I know he's been kind of
I,
up and
I
down.
think I think he's gonna be gone.
So yeah, so I think from a short-term perspective, but also a long-term perspective, it does probably make sense. Definitely a riskier trade with just the multiple years left of control, especially with the big contract that Pittsburgh signed him
No.
to. But I think if the offer is right, the Pirates will be listening. And I think the Tigers, obviously, one of their bigger spots is third base. So I think I'm going to roll with it.
See, like you say, if the offers were right, the Pirates will listen. But I think like I think they'd have to, and I know that there has to be like consideration on both sides. Like each side has to give some type of thing back to the other team. But I think it's more so like I think the Pirates would give him away for nothing because they have that contract to pay for, and he's had a 573 OPS last year with a 61 OPS plus, and he's been super consistent and has carried those numbers into this year with a 577 OPS and a
Is it that
62.
low? I thought it was a little higher than that.
No, so sub 600 OPS each of the last 2 years, and he's played 100 games each of the last 2 years, almost 100 games. So that's
Mm.
200 game sample, pretty decent sample size.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
I think the Pirates would have to trade Ke'Bryan Hayes and somebody to the Tigers,
oh,
and
no, no,
the
no.
Tigers not give anything back.
Okay, well, I think you're actually helping my argument more here. I think the fact that he's under team control until 2030 if Pittsburgh wanted to adds value regardless of how he plays. I think this is a guy you signed at the like a pre-arb extension, so you wanted him to be on your team long term, obviously. And so I think the Pirates, given the right offer, will go for it. I'm not saying it's going to be a lot, but I don't really agree with you just saying they're going to dump him off. I don't, unless they just are going to be like, okay, the Key Brian Hayes experiment is toast. Like it has not worked out. Let's just get what we can for him. I don't know where they stand on him. it sounds like they might move off of him. It could be like a kind of a 50-50 thing. But yeah, I don't know. I think what you said helps my argument more in that regard that he is going to get traded, and I think the Tigers might fit that bill. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But
I
I do
think it's
know what
more
you're saying.
so with the amount of money he'll be making, what team would like what team wants to take that risk to take that contract when he has not put up a 580 OPS in the
I don't know.
past two?
Put him on a team that actually wins games, maybe, and see what changes.
Yeah, but I don't like the argument that a guy's gonna turn into an average hitter because of the team. I think that's just too tough to say.
I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but the Tigers have a way of just making like Zach McKinstry heading into this year. He was not an average hitter at all. You could agree with that.
Yeah, like 85 OPS plus 90.
Yeah, and now he's well above average. And then I could bring up Javier Baez and how horrible he was last year. Probably worse than Key Brian Hayes has ever been in his career. And now he was an all-star. And like I'm not saying that Key Brian is going to replicate that, but I'm saying the Tigers have some kind of mojo, some kind of energy going on that seems to be impacting all of its players. And I think that's why they're winning so many games is because they're getting contributions all over the field. We've talked about that before. And I think Key Brian Hayes could be a very good candidate for a environment switch and a winning environment at that. And I'm not saying it'll be like a 750 again, but at least get him back up to like a 680. And I think the Tigers would be more willing to take a shot on that.
I hope so. I it would scare me a lot. Plus, like there's still like a log like I don't see a world where we can really get even a third baseman with McKinstry, Vierling can play third. Like even like Trey Sweeney in the infield, he's not a third baseman, but
Yeah.
it's just I don't know. I feel like there's a lot there and to kind of just pick a guy hoping that the mojo can bring him back, I think that's a little scary. Um, but you never know. I've seen them linked to him, so there's got to be some type of talk about it. Okay. I'm gonna go
I think you have two
this
picks
one,
left. Yeah, two picks.
two picks. Okay. This one, I love this one. Um, I'm not really getting an extra points. He's not an all-star or anything, but um, let me see if this is gonna load. So I have Harrison Bader
Oh,
going to the Astros.
dang
So
it.
right now the Astros outfield looks like right field Cam Smith has been amazing. He's great. Taylor Trammell's in the center field. He could easily slide in. If not slide in, just be like a bench piece, like because he has the speed and the defense that I think they could really use. Bader's been amazing this year. He's been kind of one of the only bright spots other than like Buxton and Joe Ryan on the Minnesota Twins. And I also think he's almost a guarantee to get traded because he is a free agent after this year. And I don't know. I just think it's the Twins' mindset to kind of trade off anybody, even if they're kind of in the running somewhat. I guess they're like what 4 or 5 games under 500, but 11 home runs, 35 RBIs, 766 OPS with a 109 OPS plus, and a 2 WAR. Yeah, so I can see the Astros going and grabbing him.
So Bader was probably going to be my next pick. Item going to the Mets, a little reunion there, I guess, from last season. But yeah, I think he'll get moved. He's a really easy piece the Twins can move off of and not have to worry about like some of the bigger names like a Buxton or something like that. Um, this one's kind of crazy. It could be, but I also think it could make sense. Sean Murphy of the Atlanta Braves. I think the Braves have been super impressed, or I mean, at least I've been super impressed with what Drake
Baldwin.
Baldwin's been able to do. And
Hmm.
it you could make the argument like, okay, wait and see until he like is a full-time catcher because right now like he's getting set up for obviously favorable situations. Um, so that is an argument. Obviously, Sean Murphy is on a pretty big contract again with Atlanta through 2029. That's a club option in 29, so he'd be a free agent in 2030. So it is an interesting one because the Braves, it's again a pretty team-friendly contract relative for them. And there's could definitely be an argument where they just roll with the two catchers for the next couple of years. Drake Bond's obviously not going anywhere soon, and you could keep Sean Murphy if you wanted to. But at the same time, the Braves obviously have not been great this year. And when you're looking at guys that you can move off of, I think Ozuna is one, and I think you can make the argument that Sean Murphy is one too, where you have probably your catcher of the future, and you can also get off the hook for some money for another guy where you can just roll with the one primarily, and then also not have to pay another one. So you don't, you're not just paying two catchers. So I think Murphy is definitely within the realm of possibility that he could get moved. And where I'm going is to the Giants, who I think eventually are going to get pretty sick and tired of Patrick Bailey and his sub 600 OPS, which I think is what he's at right now. It could be worse. 565. 31% strikeout rate. Pretty much no offensive production. A guaranteed slot in the nine hole. But his defense is solid, obviously. It's really good. But I think the Giants would benefit more from a two catcher situation than the Braves would right now. And I think Buster Posey, we saw him make the Devers move. I have no doubt that he would be willing to take on another contract like this. The Giants are tied down in a couple places, but again, I think we're seeing the Giants start to become the spender again. And I think Murphy makes a lot of sense. I think having a solid offensive option where I know Devers is DHing, but eventually I think he's going to slide over to first. And then you could have Murphy as your DH. And I think that would make a lot of sense. And I think the Giants are going to be willing to kind of make a big move here to get him. And I think it'd be super successful. And eventually, if Bailey just isn't doing it for you anymore, you could also just let him off the hook and then Murphy becomes your main catcher. So it's a big move. I don't know how likely it's going to happen, but I figure it'd be worth it. He's also an all-star, so I think bonus points potentially there too.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it definitely would be smart for the Braves because like if your team is lacking in other areas, which it clearly is, why not? Or why
Yeah.
would you want to have two kind of above average, like close to like great? Probably like Baldwin has been great this year. And I think Sean Murphy's a great catcher as well. So like why would you want to hold on to both those assets on your team in the future? On the Giants side, I don't know. I just feel like isn't that's a little like close to like the in terms of what the player is, great defender, bad sub 600 OPS. Um, it's kind of close to like the Key Bryant Hayes, like Patrick Bailey. Like I don't know. I just feel like they're not going to move off him that quick.
Well, so I'm not saying move off of. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I think the biggest part here is I think the DH spot is eventually going to open up when Devers moves to first. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I think there's enough room here where you can have a dual catching situation. Whatever the matchup is, you can play that how you want. And then there's also the potential where Murphy can DH for you, and then you still have Bailey playing behind the dish, which would probably be the best case scenario for them. And so I think if the plan is to move Devers over to first, you can do this where you don't have to get rid of Bailey. Like he can still be there and still be valuable, but then you're also still getting production from your catcher spot if you want, or you have a really solid DH as well.
I guess it's just the moving around kind of scares me. It's a lot of what ifs, but
It sounds like from all reports, it sounds like the Giants want Devers to play first, which would be better because right now their first baseman I think is Dominic Smith or Canzone. I'm oh it's Smith, Dominic Smith, who is not great.
yeah.
Um, so I think Murphy fits kind of. I think it's like kind of like hits two birds with one stone here. You get help for one of your weaker positions on the field, but then you
Mhm.
also could have again like a pretty solid DH because if Devers does move off of DH, who's going to DH for you? Not there's not many good options like maybe Wilmer Flores, but even him is not like a great choice to be your DH. So
Yeah, I one of my backup picks in case like I ran out was Ozuna to the Giants, which is kind of looking at the same logic of moving Devers to first. So it just kind of scared me because I don't know. You just don't know what's going to happen, especially with Devers. There's been a lot of like, does he want to play first? Like all of a sudden, like he wants to play the field, which
yeah.
was kind of funny. As soon as he got traded, he's like, I'll do whatever the team asks me to do.
hmm
So yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. My next pick is
This is your last pick. Last pick, by the way.
yes,
Okay.
Cal Finnegan. I think he's going to be dealt. He'll be a free agent after this year. The Nats have not been in the running for really anything this year. It's kind of been sad, but they still got some bright spots. James Wood has been amazing. Anyways, I have him going to the Tigers. This will be my Tigers pick. The Tigers are dying for some type of high leverage bullpen arm. Their bullpen has kind of fallen off the cliff lately. Tommy Kahnle has been horrible. His last three outings, he's given up, I think, 8 earned runs. So his ERA has plummeted or has skyrocketed from like a 1.9 to like it's probably like a 4.5 right now. Um, and just there's not really any guys, that, especially in the postseason, that you can really count on other than maybe Will Vest and Tyler Holton, and even Tyler Holton has been shaky. And just Finnegan has been a closer. I'm not saying he'll fill in as a closer. I still think Will Vest should be our closer, but just to have a guy that like has been great before in the late innings, I think would be huge. He has had a over 100 OPS or ERA plus in every single season other than this year.
Hmm.
This year he's just kind of middle of the pack, 4.25 ERA, 3.73 WHIP. But like last year, 3.68, 3.76, 3.51, 3.55, 2.92. He had 38 saves last year in an All-Star, so I'll get some extra points with the All-Stars if he does get dealt. Um, but yeah, I needed a bullpen arm on the Tigers. This was my third pick, my third like resort because he picked the first
Yeah.
two guys.
Right.
So yeah, Kyle Finnegan and the Tigers.
So I'm kind of going back and forth right now. I really want to go for above 500 pick here, and I'm looking at the Rays, and it's super tough to say this team is going to be selling, but they are 5.5 games out of the division, and that might be enough for them to just not at least do a soft sell, at least do a soft sell, and that's kind of what I'm
Mhm.
thinking.
Do
And
it.
I think I think the starting pitching is deep enough to where they can make this move and not really feel it, but also kind of do that raise thing where it's a soft sell, not really noticeable, but they're going to get some good pieces back. So I'm going to say Zach Littell gets moved.
To the
Um,
wait. I'm gonna say real quick so people actually believe me because I've said this a lot. I had Zach Littell to the Cubs and I got rid of it. I don't know who you're sending him to, but
let's see. I forgot who I wrote down, to be honest with you. Was he an all-star? No, he's not. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with this. So Zach Littell, gonna be a rental piece. And then if he does leave, the Rays still have Pepio, Baz, Rasmussen, and Bradley. They also have McClanahan probably coming back at some point. So if you move off of him, I think it totally makes sense. You don't really feel it on your starting pitching, and it is more of like a soft sell where, hey, you're probably not gonna re-sign him. Let's get what we can for him. I think I'm going to have him going to the Yankees. Yankees have been super unlucky with injuries this year so far, especially to the starting pitching group. Clark Schmidt, yeah, Clark Schmidt is obviously the big one that just went down to Tommy John. Luis Hill, not sure when he's going to be back, but I think he'll be back. And then obviously Garrett Cole down. Ryan Yarbrough also made starts at starting pitcher, and he's got a strained oblique as well. So it's Freed, Rodon, and then Cam Schlittler. I got to make sure I say that okay. Who's I think he just got called up, and then Will Warren and Stroman. So it definitely tapers off a bit. And your front two is lefties, obviously, as well. And Littell is a righty. So I think that would also help. My one concern with Littell is the innings. The most he's thrown is 156. That was last season. And I will check. So he threw 2 innings in the 2023 postseason for the Rays. I'm assuming that was out of the bullpen. So that's the other thing to think about. Where can he realistically make starts in the postseason? I don't know, but I would definitely feel a lot better about this Yankees team with Fried, Rodon, and then Littell coming in for your third start. And then you can kind of do what you want with that. Probably might make Stroman upset, which is also
well,
something to think about, and even with Will Warren too. But were you gonna say something?
I will say kind of like to help your point out. Yes, he might not be like a good arm in the postseason, but the Yankees' main priority right now, I think, is winning the division, and he would definitely help in that. So, at the bare minimum, he'd slot in as a 3 or 4 starter to edge the Blue Jays and the Red Sox out for the division. So,
Yeah, so I'll go with that. I want to get at least one over 500 pick in here for the potential bonus points. But yeah, that's all 10 picks we've got. I will run over them really quick just so we're on the same page. So Parker went Zach Gallen to the Cubs, Geno Suarez to the Yankees, Sandy to the Giants, Willie Castro to the Mets, Raisel Iglesias to the Dodgers, Ryan Helsley to the Phillies, Eflin to the Astros, Dennis Santana to the Blue Jays, Bader to the Astros, and then Finnegan to the Tigers. I had Hauser to Houston, David Bednar to the Yankees, Ryan O'Hearn to Boston, Mitch Keller to the Padres, Andrew Heaney to the Angels, Soto to the Tigers, Mullins to the Phillies, Ke'Bryan Hayes to the Tigers, Sean Murphy to the Giants, and then Zach Littell to the Yankees. Do you have anything else to add before we wrap up?
I think that's it. This is gonna be fun.
How are you feeling? Do you feel pretty good?
I feel good. I feel like I have a lot of like kind of fun picks at the beginning, but if they land, it's gonna be pretty cool. And then I have some of the more like guaranteed picks with a lot of the relievers. So
Yeah.
I don't know what to feel. The thing about this is it just takes one like punch to land or one
Hmm.
trade to be right to kind of cause chaos and make it very hard for the other person. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping we get at least one that's fully correct.
That'd be
Two, I'd
cool.
be very happy
Yeah.
for either of us.
Right. So yeah, I will obviously when the episode releases, I'll get the graphic out too of like all of our picks so you guys can see those. And then follow us on social media at Loose and Groovy Baseball Show to keep up with the score, what trades are happening, and then how that affects obviously what we're doing. So that's going to be where all the updates come for that. So be sure to check us out on there. Yeah, I'm glad we were able to do this again. It's been a couple weeks, but really enjoyed it. So yeah, looking forward to see how this all plays out, and hopefully, I'll go 2-0 on these little pick 'em
Yeah,
drafts. So
hoping.
we'll see how it all plays out. But thank you so much for tuning in. If you made it this far, like I said, be sure to check us out on all social medias at Loose and Groovy Baseball Show for more Loose and Groovy baseball content. Daily posts there as well. So be sure to go check that out. Signing off for me and Parker. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.